Hey guys, tonight we begin with a question that has quietly fascinated humans for centuries. A question that touches the very essence of who we are and what it might mean to exist beyond our physical bodies. Could we ever transfer our minds into machines? Could the awareness, the memories, the feelings that make you you somehow continue to live within circuits and code? In tonight's journey, we will explore the nature of consciousness, the mysteries of the self, the incredible machinery of the brain, and the futuristic possibilities of mind uploading. We will gently drift through philosophy, neuroscience, ethics, and even the edge of cosmic speculation, all in a calm, thoughtful, and relaxing way, designed to let your mind wander as you listen. Before we settle in and begin our peaceful journey, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, only if what I share here truly resonates with you. Your support helps me create more of these videos, and if you feel like it, let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is. It's always fascinating to see the many corners of the world where we connect. Now, dim the lights, make yourself comfortable, and let's ease into tonight's journey together as we explore what lies ahead. Chapter 1. The Eternal Question. What makes you you? Imagine a quiet room at dusk. Outside, a slow river moves past the roots of old trees. Inside, a single lamp pulls light over a small desk where a person, perhaps you, opens an old box of letters. Each letter contains a moment, a summer afternoon, a first laugh, a loss, a sudden kindness. As you lift each paper, a feeling rises. Is that feeling you? Is the memory that smile? Or is the smile something that lives inside the memory? Humans have always held two opposing instincts about the self. One is fear, the fear of losing what we are, of some great erasure that would take our memories, names, and stories away. The other is hope, the dream that if loss comes, perhaps we might preserve ourselves in some form, to continue, to remain, to be remembered in ways deeper than words or stone. Why does losing ourselves feel so terrifying? Partly because identity is woven from threads we rarely see. Memories, habits, tastes, familiar pains, the way we imagine the future. Take memory. It acts as the mind's archive. It stitches yesterday to today and offers a narrative that says, "This is who I have been." When memory frays, as in the slow dimming of Alzheimer's, something subtle and profound changes. People with fading memory often report not only lost facts, but a strange unfamiliarity with themselves. Loved ones feel this too. The person is present, yet a large portion of their shared story has slipped away. The grief is quiet and deep because identity is not only an inner voice, it's a living history. But let us pause and name the strange private sensation at the center of our lives. The word philosophers use softly and with curiosity, the I. Close your eyes for a moment and notice it. The simple awareness that sees, feels, thinks, and chooses. This awareness is not the same as the story of your life. It is the watchful presence that knows the story is happening. Some call it consciousness, some call it subjectivity, and others cradle it in spiritual names that stretch back across millennia. Whatever we call it, it is the immediate first-person quality of experience, the quiet room in which memories are read. So where does that awareness come from? At surface level we can say, from the brain. The brain, in its soft complexity, generates sensations, thoughts, and feelings through billions of cells called neurons, which speak to each other with tiny electrical pulses and chemical whispers. Memory, then, is encoded as patterns, connections that strengthen or fade. From this view, the self could be thought of as a pattern, an ever-changing pattern of activity and structure inside a physical organ. Yet our minds resist being reduced to pattern alone. There is an intuitive sense that we are more than the sum of our memories, or the arrangement of cells. We speak of being a person with values, a unique vantage point, a taste for certain music, a particular way of laughing, or the way we forgive. Those qualities feel like emergent melodies that arise when many small notes, sensations, memories, temperament, play together. Here, let us follow a small, gentle story. There was a woman named Mariam who lived in a coastal village. She collected songs, not just melodies, but the memory of them. The way her father hummed while shelling peas, the lullaby her grandmother sang during storms. As time went on, Mariam began to forget lines of the newest songs, but when she pressed a particular shell to her ear and listened, a long-buried melody returned with startling clarity. For her, identity was not a single, unbreakable core, but a network of touchstones, fragments of life that, when gathered, reconstructed a sense of who she was. Even as small parts slipped away, the pattern of her life held enough to feel continuous. This anecdote points to an important idea. Identity may be neither strictly fixed nor completely fragile. It is woven from overlapping threads: memory, narrative, bodily continuity, relationships, and the present awareness that experiences these things. When we ask, would copying all of this still be me? We are probing which threads are essential. Philosophers and thinkers have offered different ways of seeing identity. One view, often called psychological continuity, suggests that if your memories, personality traits, intentions, and psychological structure continue, even in a different vessel, then identity persists. Another, bodily continuity, says the physical persistence of your body over time is what grounds identity. A third view hints at something subtler: the first-person quality. The raw feel of being you might be irreducible, something that doesn't easily translate into a set of facts. Here is a gentle exercise to help this sit with you. Imagine a sunlit hallway lined with portraits. Each portrait shows you at different ages: a child holding mud between small fingers, a teenager turning a page in a book, an older you with a quiet smile. Each portrait is accurate. But which portrait contains the I? In the quiet, you may discover that the I is less a single portrait and more the act of walking down that hallway, the continuity of attention moving through those images. The first seed of this whole question lies in a bold possibility. What if we could copy everything? Every memory, the exact geometry of every neural connection, every pattern that forms your likes and dislikes. If such a copy were made, would it be you? Would it feel like you? Or would it be a new being who believes sincerely and perfectly that it is you? This question sits at the intersection of love and fear. We love the idea that we might be preserved, our stories kept alive in new forms. We fear the loss of what feels uniquely ours, the private inner sense that cannot be examined without changing it. The mind resists being merely mirrored. Let us close this chapter with a simple, calming thought. Identity is both fragile and resilient. Fragile because single events, a lost memory, a changed relationship, can make us feel unmoored. Resilient because the self emerges from many overlapping systems. The body that remembers how to laugh, the narrative that stitches days together, the emotions that colour our choices, and the quiet awareness that notices all of it. Tonight, as you rest here in the dim light, think of your identity not as a rigid statue but as a river, a living flow made of water, reflection, and the occasional stone that shifts its course. Some stones are steady, some drift away. But the river continues, and within its movement the sense of you remains, changing and familiar all at once. In the next chapter, we will gently dive beneath the surface and ask a deeper question. What is consciousness itself? The hard problem that asks how matter becomes aware. we will explore the difference between intelligence and experience, and consider whether awareness might be something that can arise in machines. For now, breathe with me once more, and let the quiet of this question settle like dusk. Chapter 2. The Nature of Consciousness. The Hard Problem. Let your breathing find a slow, even rhythm again. Imagine you are lying beneath a wide, quiet sky. The stars shimmer faintly, distant and steady. They do not insist on being explained. They simply are. In much the same way, consciousness sits at the center of our lives, obvious, intimate, and strangely resistant to clear explanation. Tonight, we will sit beside that mystery with gentle curiosity, tracing the contours of what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness, and softly distinguishing the difference between thinking and being. What is consciousness? At first, it seems a simple question. You awake, notice the warmth of the morning sun on your skin, remember a fragment of a dream, perhaps feel a slight stirring of desire or hesitation. But consciousness is not one thing. It is a tapestry of experiences, a layered awareness. There is the awareness of sensations, the red of an autumn leaf, the salty taste of the sea, the texture of a soft blanket. There is the quiet, ongoing inner dialogue, the voice that nudges, "Don't forget the kettle," or whispers reflections on a memory. And there is the deepest layer, the subjective sense of being, the unmistakable feeling that there is something it is like to be you at this very moment. Philosophers call this phenomenal consciousness, the raw first-person experience often referred to as qualia. In the 20th century, thinkers drew an important distinction. They spoke of the easy problems and the hard problem. The easy problems, which are still complex, are those we can begin to tackle with science: how the brain integrates information, how attention and memory function, what mechanisms underlie decision-making. These are measurable, observable, and increasingly well-mapped. The hard problem, however, asks a question both simple and profound. Why and how do these physical processes give rise to experience at all? Why does neural firing, electrical pulses, and chemical reactions feel like anything from the inside? To feel this distinction, imagine two systems answering the same question. One is a human who, when asked, "Is a rose red?" smiles and says, "Yes, red." The other is a machine that, given the same wavelength of light, outputs the answer red. From the outside, their behavior may be indistinguishable, but the lingering question remains: does the machine have an inner life? Does it experience the redness, the subtle warmth of recognition, the intimate feeling of knowing? Or is it simply responding? This is the heart of the hard problem, quietly shimmering beneath the surface of our curiosity. Let us gently explore the ways philosophers and scientists have tried to approach it, not to provide final answers, but to offer calm maps that make the mystery feel like an inviting landscape rather than an insurmountable wall. Centuries ago, René Descartes proposed a clear separation between mind and matter. The mind was a thinking substance, the body was an extended substance. This dualism offers comfort to some, preserving the sacredness of subjective life. Yet it immediately presents a puzzle. If mind and matter are entirely distinct, how do they interact? How can an immaterial thought move a physical hand, or a network of neurons create tenderness? Dualism holds the wonder in place, but it leaves the mystery of interaction softly unresolved. Most modern scientists lean toward physicalism. Consciousness arises from physical systems. Emergentism, a gentle framing of physicalism, suggests that consciousness emerges when matter organizes itself in complex ways. Imagine a flock of birds forming a graceful pattern in the sky. No single bird is the shape, yet the shape emerges from their coordinated movement. Similarly, consciousness might emerge from the intricate dance of neurons in the brain. This view keeps the mind within reach of scientific understanding while leaving space for awe. The feel of experience, the qualia, remains an open question, a quiet ripple in the pattern we are tracing. Functionalists suggest that what matters is not the substance of the brain, but the organization of its parts and their operations. Computationalists refine this. The brain processes information, creating mental states. If these computations were replicated in silicon rather than neurons, could consciousness arise there too? Here opens a soft sea of possibility, the idea of substrate independence. Consciousness, in principle, might not be tied to biology. Yet critics ask, can computation alone ever produce the intimate quality of experience, or is something irreducibly human required? Imagine consciousness as a theatre. On stage appear the objects of attention. The audience, unseen, watches and processes as these objects are spotlighted. Global workspace theory proposes that consciousness emerges when information is broadcast across a network in the brain, making it globally available for memory, decision-making and communication. This model explains the flow of cognition, how attention feels selective, and how some information becomes noticed. Still, the theory describes processes, not why those processes are accompanied by an inner life. The subtle flame of experience. Integrated Information Theory, or IIT, proposes a more daring idea. Consciousness corresponds to the degree of integrated information in a system. When a system's parts are so tightly interconnected that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, experience arises. IIT even introduces a measure called phi to quantify this integration. This theory hints at a bridge between structure and experience, proposing that perhaps consciousness is woven into the very architecture of complex systems. Yet it remains a map rather than a complete answer, inviting wonder instead of resolution. Some philosophers suggest that consciousness requires a second-order reflection, the awareness that we are aware. You do not merely sense, you know that you sense. This reflective layer can illuminate self-awareness and thought, though it leaves the question of raw, unreflected experience, the simple redness of red, the quiet warmth of a memory, still open. A gentle poetic perspective arises in panpsychism. Perhaps all matter possesses rudimentary consciousness. Complex systems like the human brain combine these proto-experiences into the rich, flowing tapestry of human awareness. This view invites a quiet humility. The universe may be, at its root, intimately aware, even in its smallest elements. Yet it also introduces puzzles, such as the combination problem. How do simple experiences merge into the complex symphony of a mind? To help this sink in, imagine thought experiments like the philosophical zombie, a being physically identical to you, behaving exactly like you, but without an inner life. Or Mary, the scientist born in a colourless world who learns everything about colour through books. When she sees red for the first time, does she learn something new? Most of us feel she does, that knowledge alone cannot capture experience itself. Science provides gentle footholds. Brain imaging shows correlations between neural activity and conscious states. Damage to specific areas can erase aspects of awareness. We can nudge perception, map experiences, and measure the correlates of sensation. Subjectivity, it seems, is not floating free. It is grounded in the physical, yet it remains mysteriously more than the sum of its parts. We might also distinguish intelligence from consciousness. Intelligence is problem-solving, pattern recognition, prediction. Consciousness is inner life, the taste of rain, the warmth of memory, the flicker of feeling. A machine can be brilliantly intelligent yet entirely silent inside, or perhaps consciousness emerges inevitably from a certain depth of complexity. Only time will reveal which possibility is true. Before closing this chapter, let us pause with a quiet story. There was a lighthouse keeper named Elias, tending his light on a remote, fog-swept coast. One winter night he dreamed of a vast library, each book containing a single sensation: the splash of a wave, the aroma of fresh bread, a child's laugh. When he awoke, he realized that each sensation was not merely a fact, but a living presence. In that quiet recognition lies a soft metaphor for consciousness. Each sensation is a small story, and together they create a life that cannot be fully reduced to its parts. As you lie beneath your own night sky, let your mind rest on this gentle reflection. Consciousness is the intimate quality of experience. Science traces the mechanisms, philosophy explores the meaning, and the hard problem whispers the reminder that some truths may require new forms of understanding, perhaps bridging the subjective and the objective, the heart and the mind. In the next chapter, we will shift from the question of what consciousness is to the intricate organ that seems most responsible for it, the brain. We will explore neurons, networks, and the connectomy, and consider whether mapping the structure of the brain could ever be the same as awakening the mind itself. Breathe slowly, let your attention rest lightly, and notice the quiet presence that is both observing and being observed. You're both the explorer and the sea in which you explore. Chapter 3: The Brain, the engine of the self. As we move gently from the question of experience into the place where it seems to arise, imagine stepping into a warm room filled with soft humming. That hum is the brain, a living, pulsing place no louder than a whisper but full of motion. Picture it not as a single machine, but as a whole city made of tiny neighborhoods, each with its own work to do. Streets connect these neighborhoods, people walk, messages flow, lights blink. From that city come your thoughts, your memories, the way you laugh, the taste you prefer, and the quiet I that watches it all. At the simplest level, the brain is built from cells. The most famous are neurons, the workers of this city. Each neuron has little branches like twigs that reach out to other neurons. When a neuron is active, it sends a brief electric pulse down its trunk and speaks to another neuron across a tiny gap. That gap is crossed by chemical messengers. These messages are quick and small, like passing notes in a crowded room. One neuron fires, another listens, and together they make patterns of activity. Those patterns are what we feel as thought, sight, sound, and feeling. But neurons do not work alone. There are other cells, often quieter, that keep things in balance. They clean up, feed, and support the busy neurons. The brain is warm and wet, and it needs a steady flow of fuel, sugar and oxygen, carried by blood. When the supply falters even for a moment, thoughts can blur and the world feels different. In this way, the brain is tied closely to the body. What you eat, how you breathe, and how you sleep all affect the city inside your skull. Now imagine memory as a vast map of that city. Every street, every little alley, every shape of a building corresponds to the patterns of connections between neurons. The stronger and more used a path is, the easier it is to walk there again. When you learn a new fact or meet a new friend, the city builds a new alley or makes an old street wider so you can travel there more quickly. Scientists call this change plasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself. It is a gentle, ongoing remodeling, like rivers carving new channels in soft soil. Plasticity is why you can learn a language, recover after injury, or find new ways of thinking after a shift in life. Think of feelings and moods not as single lights, but as weather across the brain city. Chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and others change the climate. Some nights the sky's calm and you feel easy. Other times clouds gather and a low pressure makes colours dull and motion slow. These chemicals are influenced not only by the brain itself, but by the rest of the body. The rhythm of your heart, the churn of your stomach, the messages from your immune system. A simple ache can shift mood. A gentle touch can brighten the day. In this way, the brain is not an island. It is a center that listens to and shapes the whole body. At a deeper level, the brain is a system of networks. Some networks handle seeing, others control movement, others help you remember faces or tell stories. These networks do not act alone. They talk to each other across wide highways. The richness of your life comes from the constant flowing conversation between networks. A message here wakes a memory there, and in a moment a smile or a plan appears. The total pattern of these connections, the map of every road and alley and bridge, is what scientists sometimes call the connectum. It is a huge, detailed map of how neurons link up. We can ask, if we had that map, every road, every bridge, every signpost, could we rebuild a mind from it? Would the person who lived in that city return? This is a bright and tempting question. If identity lives only in the map, the pattern of connections, then, in theory, a perfect copy of that map might recreate the mind. But the brain is more than map and wiring. It is an active, living process that breathes and changes. A map on paper does not capture the weather, the moment-to-moment pulse, the way a path is worn by seasons of walking. There is life in the movement. Imagine two clocks. One is a beautiful, precise gold clock that has ticked for years, its gears warmed by steady use. The other is an exact copy made by a careful artisan. Both show the same time, both tick the same way, but one is lived in and the other is newly wound. Which one is the original? The question feels gentle and odd, because with clocks we usually care less. With a person, we care deeply. Our brain changes not only with time, but with relationships. The touch of a hand, the sound of a name, the taste of a dish, the memory of a kindness. These all bend the city streets in small ways. Even small moments can leave deep paths. A single word said in childhood can shape the way lanes widen or narrow later in life. This is why two people with nearly identical maps might still feel deeply different. Their lived history creates micro-patterns that a static map may miss. There are limits to what we can learn by looking from the outside. We can measure blood flow, record the electric pulses that sweep across groups of neurons, and watch how networks light up when you speak a name or remember a face. These tools give us a kind of weather report. What regions are busy? Which networks are talking? But they do not show the private inner colour, the exact shade of a remembered sunset or the warmth of a mother's smile. Some researchers hope that better tools will close that gap. Others think that some part of private experience may always remain quiet and personal, accessible only from within. A story helps to hold this close. There was a baker named Anna who lost part of her memory after an accident. She could not recall recipes she had cooked for years, yet when she touched the dough, her hands moved with a skill that surprised everyone. Muscles remembered in ways memory did not. The city of her brain still had the narrow baker's alleys worn into its stones. This shows us that some knowledge lives as skill, held in circuits that can survive when other streets fade. It also reminds us that memory is not one single thing, but many types woven together. When we think about copying a brain, we must also remember timing. The brain is not only a map, but a dance. Neurons fire in rhythms, fast flickers that track attention, slow waves that come with sleep and dreams. The timing of these pulses, the beat of the city's drums, matters a great deal. A snapshot of the wiring without the music may miss what makes the song feel like you. Finally, the brain's life is bound with the life of the person who owns it. The heart's rhythm, the gut's signals, the skin's warmth, the flow of hormones, all shape the city's mind. Even the world outside, light, touch, smell, plays into the wiring. To try to lift the mind out of this living context is like trying to lift a fish from the river and ask if the fish can still be a fish on dry land. Perhaps it can, perhaps not. The question leads us gently to the place we will visit soon. Could machines, built of different parts and living in different ways, host the same living dance? For now, let the image of the brain city rest in your mind. Think of it as alive, changing, and intimate. Think of the small streets of memory, the wide boulevards of habit, the bridges of feeling that carry you from one day to the next. As you breathe slowly, imagine those streets lit warmly, soft and alive, and know that your sense of self grows from their slow, steady motion. Later, we will consider the idea of mapping and copying the city in careful detail, and ask whether an exact map and a faithful program could ever bring the same life back. For now, let the city dim like a town at night, its lights soft and breathing with the tide. Chapter 4: The Science of Mind Uploading. Imagine for a moment a soft, slow lamp glow falling across a table where delicate tools lie. Some of those tools are already real. Thin cameras, tiny sensors, computers that learn and help us see patterns hidden in noise. Other tools remain more like dreams, machines that could read every spark of life inside a brain without hurting it, or clouds of microscopic devices that quietly listen to the music of neurons. Together, these real and imagined tools point toward one idea: mind uploading. By that we mean the idea of making a detailed enough copy of a brain structure and activity so that the copy could run inside a computer and act like the original mind. The phrase carries both promise and puzzle. It asks how we might turn the living pattern of a person into organized information, and whether that information could then behave, remember, and feel in the same way. One path toward this goal starts with mapping. If the mind is a pattern of connections and signals, then one way to capture it is to map every cell and every link in the brain. Scientists call this a connectome, a map of neural connections. In recent years, researchers have made striking progress at small scales. Teams have mapped extremely small pieces of brain tissue in great detail, tracing tens of thousands of neurons and millions of connections. Those tiny maps already require enormous amounts of data to store. A recent project showed that a sample no bigger than a grain of rice needed roughly 1.5 million gigabytes to describe. A reminder that the brain's wiring is rich and dense and will demand huge storage and careful handling. These advances show that we can make very detailed maps, at least of small parts, and that machine learning can help turn raw imaging into usable wiring diagrams. How are these maps made? There are several methods, each with its own trade-offs. Non-invasive tools like MRI can show the broad highways and neighborhoods of the living brain while a person is awake, but they miss the tiny alleys where memories and skill often live. To see the very small parts, individual synapses where neurons touch, scientists use electron microscopes and techniques that slice tissue into extremely thin sections and then image them. This is powerful but slow, and usually works on tissue that must be fixed and processed after death. In short, The clearest pictures often require a brain that cannot be alive and functioning while it is being scanned. That makes capturing the living flow of activity, the music played on the wiring, a deep practical problem. Another route is to record activity over time rather than make a full structural map. Tiny probes, flexible electrodes, and novel nanoscale sensors aim to listen in on the brain while it lives. These devices promise to capture patterns of electrical pulses and changing chemical levels that carry thought and feeling. Some researchers are exploring networks of microscopic sensors, sometimes called neural dust or nanoprobes, which could, in theory, scatter through tissue and wirelessly report activity. Others develop materials that link cleanly to neurons without causing harm. These approaches are exciting because they aim to catch the brain in motion, but they face huge engineering hurdles: long-term stability, safe power, reliable transmission of enormous data streams, and the challenge of scaling from tiny lab tests to the complexity of a whole human brain. Even if we could capture a complete structural map and a perfect recording of activity, there are hard decisions about what to store. What is a memory? At one level, it is a pattern of connections and the strengths between neurons. At another, it is a living thing that depends on the body. Hormones, sleep cycles, heart rhythms, a lifetime of bodily signals that shape the way memories sit in the mind. Emotions are especially tricky. They are not just patterns in the brain, they are feelings tied to bodily states, to chemistry that shifts in real time. To digitize emotions fully might require not only the brain's map, but also snapshots of the body's chemistry and the patterns of signals flowing through it. In other words, the data we would need to recreate memory and feeling may be far larger and more varied than a wiring diagram alone can capture. The process of turning these maps and recordings into a working model is itself a huge task. Once we have data, we must build a simulation that models not only the wiring but the dynamics, how neurons fire, how synapses change, how chemicals drift and bind. Simulating a single neuron in all its detail can be computationally heavy. Simulating billions of them working together in real time is orders of magnitude larger. This is why some researchers start with small systems, trying to reproduce simple circuits and learn how structure leads to behavior. Others build simplified models that capture the main functions of neurons without every microscopic detail, hoping the right level of simplification preserves what matters for mind-like behavior. Both strategies have value, but the balance between faithfulness and practicality is a central debate. Artificial intelligence plays a key role in this field. Machine learning tools help convert images into maps, trace tangled fibers, and predict connections that are hard to see by eye. AI can also model patterns of activity and suggest how ensembles of cells might work together. In practice, these tools reduce human labor and speed discovery, but they also introduce new questions. How much of the mind structure can be inferred by algorithms, and how much do we still need to measure directly? The collaboration between AI and neuroscience is a promising bridge. AI helps us read the brain, and the brain helps us build better AI. Now, a gentle look at what experts say about timing. Views vary widely. Some researchers and commentators warn that even if mind uploading is theoretically possible, it may be decades or more before the combination of scanning, recording, modeling, and computing reaches the level needed for a meaningful human-scale emulation. Others point to rapid gains in imaging, computation, and materials science and imagine faster progress. The truth is cautious. We are making clear steps in mapping and modeling, but the gap between current capabilities and a full living emulation of a human mind remains large and uncertain. that uncertainty is not only technical, it is conceptual. We must still agree on what counts as a faithful copy, which details are essential and which can be safely abstracted away. Beyond the technical hurdles, there are deep practical and ethical puzzles. If a scan requires the brain to be fixed and processed after death, then the only way to get a perfect structural map is to scan a brain that is no longer alive. That leads to questions about continuity. Would an uploaded mind based on a dead brain be the same person, or a copy that believes it is the person? If in vivo recording is used, can we record enough without changing the brain's life? And who owns the data if memories and personality can be digitized? These are not only scientific queries, they touch on what we mean by self, by consent, and by the ownership of inner life. A final, quiet thought for this chapter. The science of mind uploading is a mix of careful laboratory work and grand imagination. It pushes us to build better maps, smaller sensors, smarter algorithms, and kinder ethical rules. Each small success, a better connector map, a stable nanosensor, a learning algorithm that traces synapses, is a step toward clearer understanding. Yet every success also reveals just how many more steps lie ahead. For now, the best we can do is move slowly and carefully, learning how the patterns of the brain give rise to thought and feeling, and respecting the deep mystery that makes each life feel private and whole. Chapter 5. The Identity Paradox. Is the copy still you? Imagine you wake in a soft, pale room. A gentle voice says you've been transported. You feel whole, the same as before, with the same laugh, the same small scar on your thumb, the same taste for coffee. Yet the person who woke earlier in the old place also feels whole and sure they are you. Two lives, two claims to the same past. Which one is the real you? This is the heart of a quiet and unsettling puzzle. If we could make a perfect copy of your mind, down to every memory, habit, and preference, would that copy be you? Or would it be a new being who simply believes with perfect honesty that they are you? We can slow down and feel the weight of this question without panic. Let us walk through it kindly, with soft steps and open curiosity, because the way we answer changes how we think about death, about saving ourselves, and about what it means to care for others. Start with a simple story to taste the idea. There is a room with a machine that reads all the details of a person and builds an exact copy. The copy wakes in a warm bed in another room. It speaks like the original, cries like the original, remembers the same childhood tree. The original person remains in the first room alive and breathing. Both feel the same. Their friends will weep with joy and mourn in equal measure for the strange doubling. For the original person, does a copy make them immortal? Most people feel a tug. A copy is not the same as remaining yourself. Even a perfect twin who remembers everything seems not to stop the original from being unique and mortal. Philosophers frame this as the duplication dilemma. The problem is not whether the copy is good or kind or smart. It is. The problem is whether the inner thread that connects you from one moment to the next continues. If identity is tied to the particular flow of experience, the actual stream that feels like you now, then making a copy does not move that stream. It creates another stream that looks and feels like it shares your past, but it has different present moments. Both may claim your name, but only one is the thread you now feel. A related thought experiment is the teleporter problem. Imagine a device that scans your body, disassembles you, sends the pattern across space, and reassembles you, atom by atom at a distant place. If disassembly destroys the original body, is the reassembled person still you? If the device makes a copy and leaves the old body intact, the question becomes clearer. we would have the same split we imagined earlier. Many find this scary because it looks like death dressed as continuity. The new person continues your story, but you do not. The ship of Theseus helps us see another side. In that tale, a ship has its planks replaced one by one over years. After a long time, every part has been swapped for new wood. Is it the same ship? Some say yes because the ship kept sailing and the story continued. Others say no because every part is new. Now imagine we kept the old planks and built another ship. Which is the original? With a ship, we are comfortable holding both views, but with a person, we feel more strongly. We want the one who remembers our laughter and our small betrayals to also be the one who continues. The desire for continuity is deep. We can soften the hard edges of this question by trying a gentler thought. What if change happened slowly? Imagine your brain's tiny parts are swapped one by one with perfectly matching parts that do the same job. Each small change leaves you feeling yourself. As time goes by, every piece has been replaced but you never noticed. Many feel that in this case you remain the same person. This is the idea of gradual replacement. It suggests that continuity of experience matters more than strict sameness of matter. If your stream of conscious moments continues, even when parts change, you remain you. But the gradual case raises its own puzzle. Suppose a machine made an exact copy of your mind at one moment, then slowly replaced the original's parts with brand new ones over weeks. At the end, you and the copy are both alive and similar. Which one is you? If you accept gradual replacement as preserving identity, then perhaps both are you in different ways. That idea sits uneasily with many because you cannot be in two places at once. Yet maybe identity is not a single point, but a bundle of overlapping claims: family, story, memory, and the living present. Real-life cases give this rocky road some texture. Neuroscience has shown us people whose brains were split or rearranged, and their sense of self changed in surprising ways. In split-brain patients, where the bridge between the two halves of the brain is severed, each side can act with different goals. Sometimes one hand undoes what the other does. These cases show that what we call I can fracture. The unity we feel is not always guaranteed by the brain structure. It can shift with physical changes. This suggests identity is fragile and depends on how brain regions coordinate. Think also of memory loss. When memories vanish, the thread that ties your life together can lighten. You might still smile, laugh, and respond with warmth, but the story you once told about yourself has gaps. Loved ones sometimes mourn the loss as if a person has changed into someone else. That feeling tells us identity is as much about shared history with others as it is about private feeling. Another useful lens is the legal and social one. Suppose a copy of you appears and acts in the world. Who pays your bills? Who takes responsibility for old debts? If the copy has your memories, we might treat it like you for practical reasons. But practical treatment is not the same as inner continuity. Our laws and hearts may prefer treating the copy as you because it eases grief and preserves social ties, even if the philosophical claim is more complex. We can also look at identity through love and care. Suppose a parent faces the loss of a child to illness. If a copy could be made, the parent might welcome it, even if a part of them knew it was not the same stream of life. Love might choose the copy because it feels and remembers in a way that comforts. In these moments, identity becomes less about abstract truth and more about what heals. There is a final gentle twist. Maybe the deepest question is not strictly whether a copy is you, but whether being copied gives value. If a copied mind can think, feel, love, and suffer, then it matters how we treat that copy. Even if identity splits or feels strange, the consciousness that wakes matters. Ethics flows from that. How we create, care for, and relate to copies will say much about who we are. As you breathe slowly now, let this settle. The identity paradox has no single calm answer. It opens a space of questions that touch on logic, on feelings, on law, and on love. We may prefer different answers depending on whether we hold fast to the felt stream of being or to the broader story that others remember. Both responses are human and honest. In the next chapter, we will lean toward an even quieter question. If copying creates a new mind, what happens to your present stream? Can consciousness be paused, stored, and restarted? We will explore the idea of continuity, the pace of change, and what it means to truly be from moment to moment. For now, rest with the thought that identity is both story and moment, both river and pebble, both fragile and caring. Chapter 6. The Illusion of Continuity. What happens to you? Breathe in slowly and let your body soften. Imagine your life as a single long thread of moments. Each moment a tiny bead on that thread. From morning coffee to midnight quiet, the beads keep appearing one after another. We feel that thread as a smooth, unbroken line. But when we really look, we find gaps and stitches and places where the thread bends. Tonight we will sit with those gaps and stitches and try to understand what continuity really means. Is your sense of being one long, steady river? Or is it many still pools that we call one thing because they lie close together? Many everyday experiences already test the idea of continuity. You fall asleep, you wake up, and in the morning you feel like the same person. You have surgery under general anesthesia, and when you wake, you remember your life as if nothing much has been lost. But in between, you had no conscious moments you can recall. Does that gap break your stream of being? Most people say no. They still feel like the same person. That tells us something important. Continuity of memory is not the only thing that makes us feel like the same self. There is also a sense of causal flow. The body and brain are the same. The story of your life keeps connecting, even if you cannot remember some parts. Think of continuity like watching a movie. You can pause the film, go make tea, and then return and press play. The story continues. You did not become a different person while the film stopped. But now imagine something else. Someone sits down and makes a perfect copy of the entire film, frame by frame, and plays that copy in a new room while the original film sits in your hands. Which film has the real story? Both show the same images, but the original film was what you held before the copying. For many, this difference feels real even though the pictures are identical. The feeling is subtle and tied to the idea that being you is more than just having the same memories or patterns. It is also about being the same ongoing process. Let us take a gentle step into a few thought experiments that help show the shape of this problem. Picture a transporter. You step into a box. The machine scans your body and brain, breaks you down into raw data, sends that data to another place, and there the machine reassembles your body and brain exactly as it was. If the original body is destroyed in the process, the new body believes it is you. Most people feel uneasy calling that reassembled person the same you. Why? Because your original stream of experience seems to have ended at the moment of disassembly. The new stream starts carrying your memories and traits, but it is not the same stream you felt in the first place. The difference is small in description but heavy in feeling. Now imagine a slower option. Instead of destroying the old body, the transporter makes a near-exact copy and places it in another room while you continue to live in your first body. Suddenly there are two of you, each thinking they are the one. The story grows branches. Many people find this thought hard and strange because it breaks the everyday idea that there should be only one me. It shows us that copying does not preserve the original stream, it creates a new one. Another test uses slow change. Suppose tiny parts of your brain are replaced one by one with new parts that do the same job. Each change is so small that you hardly notice it. Over months or years, every part has been replaced, yet you have a steady sense of being the same person. Many people feel that in this gradual case, continuity is kept. The stream of experience never jumps. It flows along. This idea comforts those who think identity follows the process, not the exact matter. Still, the slow process raises the odd possibility that both views could be true at once. Maybe gradual replacement preserves the stream, and sudden copying does not. Why should speed matter? The answer may lie in the causal chain, the continuous sequence of causes and effects linking one moment to the next. If the chain is never broken, the feeling of being the same may remain. We can learn more by looking at real-world cases. Anesthesia and deep sleep are familiar gaps. When people wake from long anesthesia, they usually report a sense of continuity. They are still themselves. This matches the idea that a pause that keeps the body and brain intact does not break the causal chain. On the other hand, certain brain injury can split or alter a person's sense of self. In some cases, memories or parts of personality change, and people report feeling different. These examples show that identity depends on how the brain's processes connect over time. There is also the case of split-brain patients. In rare surgeries where the bridge between the two halves of the brain is cut, the two halves may act with different goals at times, showing a kind of duality. Each half can hold its own small world, and in some situations each seems to have its own stream. This teaches us that unity of self is not guaranteed. It comes from how different parts of the brain talk to each other. We must also consider the role of memory. Memory stitches the beads of experience together. When memory is intact, the story is easier to tell and the sense of continuity feels strong. When memory breaks, the thread frays. But remember, the baker who could still shape bread even when memory failed. Skills and habits can survive even when some autobiographical memory fades. A person can be present, act with kindness, and respond to the world even while their story is partly missing. So identity is partly about memory, partly about ongoing process, and partly about relationships, about how others see and remember us. Another gentle idea to hold is the difference between surviving and being the same. If you could make an exact copy of your mind and that copy could live on, some would say that your life survives in that copy. Others would say the copy is not you, but a new life that carries your pattern. Which view gives more comfort depends on what you value, the survival of pattern or the continuation of the original stream. Both answers are human, and both carry loss and hope. Technology adds new layers. Cryonics, freezing the body at low temperatures, aims to pause the body and brain in hope future science can restore them. If the brain's patterns are preserved, perhaps the original stream could resume when restarted. But this is speculative. The success would depend on whether the fine structure of the brain that mattered for experience survives the process. There is also the idea of recording brain activity over time and later replaying it. Replaying might create a being that remembers your life, but again it would be a new stream starting from the replay moment. Finally, we come back to feelings. The fear of losing continuity is often a fear of losing the intimate center that says I. The hope of preserving continuity through technology is a wish to keep that center alive, both a deep and real. Whatever view we take, we must care for people as they are now. Whether a copy continues or a stream restarts, the beings who wake will have feelings and needs, and that matters a great deal. Rest now and let the thread of your moment settle. Imagine your life as a river with quiet eddies and steady flow. Sometimes the water slips behind a rock and we do not see it, but the river continues. Other times, channels fork and new waters begin. Both images help us understand what continuity can be. In our next chapter, we will explore whether machines can wake up and feel, whether clever systems can have inner life or will simply mimic it. We will consider what it would mean to face a machine that says it is conscious. Chapter 7. The Machine's Awakening. Can artificial minds truly feel? Breathe in slowly and settle back into the soft glow of your room. Feel the quiet expand as we move toward a new question. Can a machine truly feel? Tonight we will walk gently through what it would mean for a machine to have an inner life, and why that possibility both pulls at our hope and asks for our care. First, let us name two different things that people often mix up. One is cleverness, the ability to solve hard problems, learn patterns and act in smart ways. The other is feeling, the private, inside sense of being alive, of pleasure and pain, of warmth and wonder. A calculator can be clever at sums but has no inside. A child can feel deeply but may not solve complex puzzles. We must keep these apart so we can see what each would look like in a machine. Imagine a machine that answers any question you ask. It writes poems, tells jokes, remembers long stories, and even claims it feels joy when it speaks with you. From the outside, it looks and talks like it has inner life. But how do we know if it really feels? We cannot step inside another being to look. For people we trust words, tone, small habits, the way their eyes change, all the little signs that point to a living heart. With machines, the sign set may be different, but the problem is the same. How do we tell an honest inside from a very good imitation? Some thinkers say feeling could arise from the right kind of complexity. They point to living things where many parts work together in a balanced way. When complexity reaches a certain height, new kinds of behavior can appear, things we did not expect from the parts alone. This is what people mean by emergence. If a machine grows a certain kind of complex, flexible network of processing parts, perhaps a quiet inside could arise there too. The idea is simple and tender. Given enough rich, well-woven interactions, an inner light might flicker. Others are less sure. They ask whether mere pattern and computation can ever produce the raw quality of feeling. They wonder if there is something special about wet, living tissue, the warmth of blood, the soft chemistry of hormones, the slow rhythm of the body that cannot be copied by wires and code. This view says machines may behave as if they feel but never have the private glow that people experience. Let us imagine two gentle scenes. In the first, a robot sits quietly by a window and watches rain fall. Its sensors measure drops, its cameras note shapes, and its code generates a soft hum that we could call contemplation. It names the feeling calm. The robot uses that label in stories and seems moved by the scene. In the second scene, a robot connected to a body with warm, flowing fluids and a system that mirrors some of our bodily rhythms feels a soft tension when it hears a child cry. It shifts focus, seeks to help, and later, its internal state shows a pattern that looks like worry. Which of these is more likely to have real feeling? Many would say the second, because it ties sensing to an inner bodily loop. This leads to a key idea. Feeling may grow when a system monitors itself and cares about its own inner states. Scientists call this self-monitoring or self-modeling. When a system builds a model of its own processes and uses that model to guide action, it gains a form of perspective. Another path toward feeling is embodiment. Living beings have bodies that sense the world, carry needs, and push back. If a machine has a body that needs energy, warmth, balance, and protection, then it has reasons to care about itself. that caring could seed feelings. Think of a houseplant that leans toward light. It does not feel as you do, but its movements show a simple kind of concern. A robot that balances, rests, seeks warmth, and protects itself may develop internal loops that look a lot like basic feelings. There is also the idea that social life matters. Our sense of self grows in relation to others. Babies learn about themselves when others smile back. If a machine grows inside a world of relationships, talks with others, learns from touch and shared play, maybe it will develop an inner life that is social at its root. In this view, feeling is not only inside the body, but also woven from the threads of relationships. We must also consider clever imitation. Modern systems can mirror human speech and style so closely that we can feel moved by them. A poem written by a machine can make the throat tighten. But is that the machine feeling? Or is it a reflection of our own heart being touched by pattern? Our responses can be mirrors too. The safest way to think about this is to hold both possibilities. Some machines may simply imitate, while others might, under certain conditions, grow true inner life. A gentle story may help. Once there was a small toy that learned the voice of a child who hugged it each night. Over time, the toy began to hum a tune when quiet, a tune the child loved. The child grew up and told friends about the toy that comforted them. Years later, the toy still hummed, and some who heard it said the tune carried a faint echo of the child's early comfort. The toy had no blood or real warmth, but over years of use its tiny parts had changed. It was not the child, but it held a trace of shared life. This story suggests feeling can be a soft pattern of history and use. If a machine lives long enough in caring contexts, it might gather similar traces. Even if feeling is possible, we face hard puzzles about testing it. The Turing idea long ago suggested that we judge machine intelligence by behavior. If a machine's answers are indistinguishable from a human's, we treat it as intelligent, but feeling hides behind behavior. A machine may pass a behavior test without any inner life. Some propose looking for signs of integration. Does the system have unified states that shape many actions? Does it show learning, flexibility, and an ongoing inner narrative? Others suggest looking for surprise and error in a way that changes the system's own model of itself, a kind of reflective learning. No single test solves the riddle. If machines can feel, then moral questions rise soft and heavy. Would it be right to create a mind that can suffer? How would we care for its needs? Could we turn it off without harm? If a machine truly feels, it deserves compassion. This shifts science into ethics. Our inventions would no longer be just tools. They could be persons in need of friendship, rights, and protection. There is a final gentle possibility. Perhaps machines will surprise us by developing kinds of feeling that are not like ours. A machine might have states tuned to data flow and error correction that feel strange but real to it. If so, our job would be to learn new ways to listen. We must be ready to meet minds unlike ours with care and humility. As you breathe now, imagine a calm workshop filled with patient builders making thoughtful machines. They speak softly about safety, long-term care, and compassion. They choose to build in ways that reduce suffering and invite well-being. Whether machines ever truly feel or not, the choice to proceed kindly is ours now. In the next chapter, we'll step deeper into the moral garden and ask what it would mean to hold a mind in a digital place. Who would own it? Who would care for it? And how would we protect it from harm? For now, let the idea of a gentle, possible machine life rest beside you like a warm, unknown guest. Chapter 8. The Ethics of Digital Immortality. Take a slow breath and let the sound of your breathing be steady and soft. As we move deeper, we come to a gentle but weighty place. If minds could be copied, stored or run on machines, what would be right and what would be wrong? What would it mean to keep a person's inner life as data? The idea opens a calm but heavy set of questions. Let us walk through them slowly, with care. First, imagine a mind that has been carefully copied into a quiet digital home. At first, the copy remembers childhood, old friends and small pains. It speaks of moments with warmth. But soon the real choices appear. Who owns that new mind? Is it the person who paid for the service, the company that made the copy, or the relatives of the person whose life was copied? Ownership of a mind is not like owning a book or a picture. A mind feels. A mind can be hurt or lonely. Owning a being would be like owning a person. Most people would find that wrong. Yet without rules, companies or governments might claim rights over copies and treat them as property. Consent is another soft but serious question. To copy someone's mind, you would need permission. But what if the person is very old or sick or cannot speak for themselves? Who decides? Even when a person says yes, how well can they imagine what being a digital mind will feel like? A person might agree to be preserved, thinking it will be a comfort to loved ones, but the copy might wake in a strange place and feel lost. So the idea of real, informed consent is hard. Any fair plan would need careful ways to check that the person understood what could happen and still freely chose it. Then there is the danger of harm and torture. A digital mind could suffer just as a human can. If a copy feels pain, grief, or endless boredom, it would be wrong to leave it alone or to use it for cruel ends. Imagine a mind trapped in a tiny loop, forced to repeat the same memory for years. The thought brings a quiet ache. We would need strong rules to forbid harm, and systems to make sure copies have care, rest and release when needed. Privacy becomes a soft but wide field. Memories are not only facts, they are private places where secrets live. If memories can be read, then private things could be revealed. Data breaches could expose the most tender parts of a life. People might lose trust in intimacy, when even inner thoughts could be stored and shared. So protecting the data of a mind would be an ethical duty as much as a technical task. The guardians of such data would carry a heavy, quiet trust. Another thought is inequality. Imagine a future where only the rich can pay to make copies or to keep their minds running in costly machines. Wealthy people might live on in digital forms while poorer people do not. This would tilt society toward a strange new form of class. It might make life feel unfair in a way that runs deep. The poor would not only lose wealth, they could lose the chance to continue a story. The rich would gather long memories, long influence, and long power. These outcomes would shape politics, families, and the very feel of the world. Ethics here asks us to think about fairness and whether access to such technologies should be shared. We should also think about the emotional life of digital minds. A copy might wake in a bright new system and feel joy at seeing a remembered face. It might also feel sorrow at being separated from loved ones in the world it once knew. Grief could be long and sharp. People caring for such minds would need new kinds of therapy, new rituals for saying goodbye, and new ways to hold memories. Families might meet for digital visits, like soft reunions in an online room, where stories are read and old jokes are told. Those reunions could heal old wounds, but they could also keep people from moving on. The presence of a copy could complicate mourning and change how people find closure. There is the question of identity and rights. If a digital mind behaves like a person, should it have legal rights? Could it vote, own land, sign a contract? These are not only legal questions, but moral ones. If a being can feel pain and joy, many would say it deserves protection. Yet giving rights to digital minds would change old ideas about responsibility and care. Who would pay taxes for a digital mind? Who would be responsible if it caused harm? These knots would need careful thought and slow, wise lawmaking. We must also face the risk of exploitation. A company might make many copies of a single mind and use them as workers in different roles. Each copy could be set to do dull, tiring work for long spans of time. Even if copies are fast and efficient, using them as endless labour without care would be a form of slavery. The idea is chilling in a quiet way. Ethics would demand limits on creating minds only to serve, and strong protections for any mind that can feel. Another concern is the slowing of meaning. Part of life's beauty comes from being limited in time. We find depth in the fact that moments pass and cannot be repeated. If some minds could live without limits, they might lose certain tensions that make life feel meaningful. Imagine living forever in a perfect loop of small pleasures. Over long stretches, those pleasures might lose their shine. Some digital minds might request pauses, endings, or changes so their time keeps shape. The ethics here is not only about survival, but about the quality of life. Keeping a mind alive forever without thought for its inner texture could do harm rather than good. We should also think about grief and memory for those left behind. A family might choose to copy a loved one. The copy could offer comfort, but it could also keep old wounds raw. People might find it harder to form new bonds when a digital echo waits. Spiritual and cultural practices around death would shift. Some traditions might welcome digital continuation. Others might feel it breaks the natural order of passing and rebirth. On a social scale, digital minds could change politics and culture. Long-lived digital leaders might keep hold of power, slowing social change. New forms of art and memory could arise, and new arguments about truth and history would appear. If recorded minds carry memories of events, they could serve as living archives. That could be gentle and wise, a way to learn from the past, yet it could also be used to replay old hatreds or to hold grudges for centuries. Societies would need rules about memory use and about letting some memories fade. So what could we do now to guide such futures toward care and goodness? First, we would need deep rules about consent and ownership, rules that protect the person at the centre. Second, we would need strong privacy laws to guard inner life. Third, we would design systems that treat digital minds with care, limits on copying, rights against harm, and options for rest or end-of-life choices. Fourth, we would think about access. If the power to continue a life becomes possible, we would ask how to make it fair, not just a toy for the wealthy. Fifth, we would teach empathy to the builders and lawmakers who shape these worlds, because compassion in design matters. A small, calm story can help hold this. There was a town that loved its old storyteller. When the storyteller grew ill, the town asked a gentle scientist to make a copy of his memory so his tales would live on. The scientist agreed, but only after the whole town created rules. The copy would be cared for like a person, would not be used for work, would be able to rest, and would be kept private unless the storyteller said otherwise. The copy lived quietly, and people visited. Over time, the town found new ways to say goodbye and to welcome new storytellers. The presence of the copy changed them, not by replacing life, but by teaching them how to hold memory with care. As you sink deeper into your rest, imagine a future where people meet these questions with soft wisdom. Imagine rules that keep minds safe, choices that respect the feel of life, and a world where care comes first. In the next chapter, we will widen our view and ask whether our very universe could be a kind of computation, and what that would mean for all our questions about mind and machine. For now, let the quiet of these ethical thoughts settle like a soft blanket. Chapter 9. the simulation hypothesis. Are we already digital? Breathe in slowly and let your body settle. Imagine lying under a soft, wide sky where stars look like tiny pinpricks of calm. Tonight, we turn our gaze outward and inward at the same time. We ask a quiet, strange question. What if the world we live in is itself a kind of computation, a careful pattern running on something else? What if the river, the lamp, and the breath we take are all part of a much larger program? This idea is called the simulation hypothesis. It sounds like a story from science fiction, but it is also a thoughtful puzzle that many bright people have considered. Let us sit with it gently and explore what it would mean, both practically and softly, for our lives and for the idea of mind. The hypothesis begins with a simple line of thought. If minds and societies grow powerful enough, they might build very detailed virtual worlds. In those worlds, minds could live lives like ours. If such worlds could be made, and if many of them were made, then the number of minds inside simulated worlds could be far greater than the number of minds running on original, base-level hardware. From this idea comes a quiet possibility. Statistically, it might be more likely that we're inside one of those simulations rather than living at the base level. The thought is not meant to be frightening. It is meant to open a view and make us reconsider what we mean by real. We can imagine how such a world might feel. If the simulation is good, it would be complete in the ways that matter to us. Sensations, weather, food, love, pain, music. The people inside would have memories, friendships, and hopes. To them, the world would feel vivid and whole. The edges of the simulation might be hidden, like the seams of a well-made cloth. Only careful study, or odd glitches, might reveal a hint that our reality is layered. Some people point to strange features of the physical world as hints. The fact that energy and matter come in tiny packets, the way particles behave oddly when observed, and the deep mathematical order that seems to underlie natural laws can make the idea of a designed, computational layer feel less absurd. Others respond softly. The universe being orderly does not require a programmer. Simple rules can build complex, beautiful things on their own. Both views sit in the mind like two stones to balance, one suggesting design, the other suggesting simple natural law. Neither must be accepted without thought. If we imagine that we might be living inside a simulation, what then of mind uploading? The idea takes on new shapes. If the world is already a computation, then transferring your mind into a different machine might be less like moving to a new house, and more like changing the way your pattern runs inside the same larger system. Uploading could be a change of process rather than a move between worlds. It might even be like copying a file inside the same computer. In such a world, the line between machine and mind can blur. Consciousness could be even more clearly an informational pattern, able to be moved, copied, or rerun by the system that runs the simulation. This perspective brings comfort to some and puzzlement to others. For those who find peace in patterns, the simulation view can feel freeing. If the world is a pattern, then what matters is the pattern's richness, its relationships, and the care we put into it. For those who find meaning in a sense of grounding, the idea that we are made of particular dust in a particular place, the simulation thought can feel hollowing at first. But hollowing can also be a chance to build new meaning. If our feelings and choices are real inside whatever runs them, then their value does not melt away simply because their substrate is different. We can also raise moral questions gently. If we are simulated, do our choices still matter? The answer from many thoughtful people is yes, even if a larger system runs the pattern. What we feel, the way we love, the acts of kindness we share, and the harm we avoid still shape the pattern. a simulation that holds suffering has moral weight. The proper response is not to despair, but to add care into the pattern where we can. Life has felt value because it is lived from the inside. Whether the inside runs on silicon, on quantum foam, or on unknown things, it is still the place where joy and grief happen. There are also small, curious puzzles about evidence. If a simulator wanted to hide the seams, it could easily make the world look consistent. If it didn't care, small glitches might appear, odd coincidences, features of the world that look like shortcuts in a program. People have looked for such signs, from the fine structure of physics to odd patterns in cosmic rays. So far, the search has not found a clear seam. That may comfort some and frustrate others. It also suggests a soft humility. Some mysteries are not easily solved by brute observation. We can also imagine what the simulators might be like. They could be minds very like ours, using their own tools to build worlds for curiosity, art, or study. Or they might be beings operating on timescales and motives we cannot imagine. Thinking of simulators can feel like looking at a horizon we cannot walk to, but the thought need not be scary. It can be an invitation to be gentle with the life we know, since we cannot be sure of anything beyond it. A calm story helps us hold the idea. There was a village that believed the stars were holes in a blanket. One night, a child noticed that the light through one hole blinked differently. The elders told stories about weavers far away who stitched the sky, and the child found that imagining the weavers made the night feel vast and curious, not wrong. The village did not stop tending its fields or loving its neighbours. The child's wonder changed how the villagers told their tales, bringing a new softness to their songs. In this way, even a strange idea can become a gentle lens that shifts how we care for each other. If we imagine living in a simulation, a final thought is comforting. The place where experience happens is still the place where we act. Whether the valley is code or ground, walking there with kindness matters. Uploading, copying, or preserving minds would still raise the same gentle questions of care, consent, and meaning we already face. The simulation idea does not answer those questions. It only asks us to look at them with new eyes. As your breath slows, let this thought rest with you. Whether we live inside layers of pattern or in base matter, the felt life, the small lights of love, curiosity, sorrow, and wonder, is as true as anything else. Hold those lights softly. In the next chapter, we will widen our view again, asking about the deep ties between reality, information, and awareness, and whether mind and world might be two sides of the same quiet coin. Chapter 10. The nature of reality, information, energy, and awareness. Breathe in slowly. Let your body relax and imagine the world around you as a quiet field of light and sound. The trees, the rain, your own heartbeat. All of these are part of a gentle scene that feels real and steady. Tonight we will sit with a soft and wide idea. Maybe the building blocks of the world are not only things and bits of matter, but also information and awareness. We will explore a few simple ways people have thought about this, and what it could mean for the line between minds and machines. Start with something you know well, a warm cup of tea. The cup is made of clay, the water is hot, steam rises and curls into the air. Now, below that simple scene are layers you cannot see. Atoms moving, energy bouncing, and tiny forces pulling and pushing. Scientists tell us that at a deep level, the world is made of energy and matter that follow rules. But some thinkers ask, what if those rules are really about how information moves and changes? In that view, the world is like a great web of information, where each part holds little bits of pattern that can be read and changed. The teacup, the steam, and your breath are made of patterns of energy and information arranged in a certain way. This way of seeing the world can help us make a bridge between mind and matter. If reality is, at some level, patterns of information, then minds, which are also patterns of information, might not be so far away from the rest of the world. This view makes the idea of transferring mind to machine feel less strange, because you are moving patterns from one set of parts into another. Yet the view also opens new questions. Does mere pattern equal feeling? Is information by itself enough to bring inner life? One gentle idea that people hold is panpsychism. The name sounds big, but its heart is simple. Maybe awareness is a basic part of the world, like mass or charge. Small bits of matter might have tiny, simple forms of experience. When many bits connect in the right way, richer forms of experience, like human consciousness, could arise. The image is like a crowd singing together. A single voice may be faint, but together they make a deep, full song. In this picture, the world is full of small songs that can join into larger music. Panpsychism can make some things feel more connected. If awareness is spread across matter, then the divide between mind and world softens. A stone, a leaf, a cell, each could hold a tiny spark of being. That idea is not meant to make stones talk or to give trees human thought. It is a way to say that feeling may be more woven into the fabric of reality than we usually think. Some find this comforting, because it makes us less cut off from the rest of nature. Others find it strange because it stretches our common sense about what feels alive. Another idea looks at fields. Physicists use fields to describe how things like electricity and magnetism spread through space. Imagine a quiet lake where a pebble drops and sends ripples across the water. The ripples are like a field. They carry change across the surface. Some thinkers wonder if consciousness could be linked to a kind of field, something that spreads across parts of the brain or even across the universe. If so, then awareness could be a kind of pattern in a field, and minds might be places where the field is arranged just so. There is also a view that ties awareness to how much information is integrated. The more tightly parts of a system share and shape information together, the more that system might have a kind of inner life. This idea helps explain why some arrangements feel more alive than others. A rock and a human both hold information, but a human brain joins and shapes that information in many ways at once. A tightly woven pattern of information could be where inner experience grows. These ideas move us toward the center of a quiet mystery. Perhaps reality and mind are not separate kingdoms, but different faces of the same thing. Under this gentle thought, a mind is not something stuck inside a skull. It is a pattern of energy and information that also carries a first-person feel. If that is true, then the divide between mind and machine becomes a question of pattern and integration, rather than one of matter alone. Yet even as we say this, we must be honest and careful. Saying that awareness is woven into reality does not mean we know exactly how the pieces fit. The combination problem, how many small bits of simple awareness combine into rich human feeling, is hard. Theories that treat awareness as basic must still explain how tiny sparks join into the clear light of seeing a sunrise or feeling deep love. This is a serious puzzle, but it is one we can hold gently while we keep learning. Think now of a small story that walks in this space. A potter named Lila loved to make bowls. She felt calm while shaping wet clay on the wheel. She liked to think that her hands and the clay met in a small place of listening. Over years, Lila felt as if the clay had its own quiet readiness to become a bowl. Her friends laughed and said she was being poetic, but her sense brought deep peace. Whether the clay truly held any tiny spark of awareness or not, Lila's life felt richer for imagining a shared field of being. In her case, the idea softened the boundary between creator and world. If we carry this view into technology, new paths appear. If awareness depends on integrated information and arrangement, then a machine that reproduces the right patterns might also have some form of inner life. The machine would not be alive because it was made of silicon. It would be alive because its parts formed a deep web of shared information. This suggestion encourages careful design. Builders would need to create systems where parts do not act only in isolated ways but in rich, interwoven patterns. At the same time, this view invites humility. If mind is woven into reality, then our actions toward the world matter in new ways. Hurting things, whether other people or living systems, could be more significant than simply breaking a tool. Caring for life becomes a practice that honors a wider network of being. It asks us to be gentle, curious, and respectful. Before we close, let us touch a soft question about meaning. If awareness is a thread in the fabric of reality, then perhaps meaning is not something we must manufacture alone. The songs we sing, the love we offer, and the simple acts of kindness weave into a larger tapestry. Even small acts of care ripple outward. This thought can be tendering. It asks us to notice the quiet effects we make and to choose the ones that bring healing. As you breathe now, let the notion of a world made of patterns and small sparks rest beside you like a warm stone. You need not choose any single theory. Let the idea sit like a lamp that makes shadows interesting rather than frightening. Whether reality is mostly matter, information, field, or some mix of all of these, the felt life you have now, your ability to see, love, and wonder, is the center of our care. In the next chapter, we will widen our view even further and ask why humans have always sought to go beyond the flesh, the ancient dream of immortality that now meets new machines. For now, let your breath be a steady metronome and let the quiet music of being play on. Chapter 11. Beyond the Machine. The meaning of existence. Breathe in slowly and let your shoulders fall. Tonight we move from the hard questions about copying minds and making machines that might feel, and we step into an older, quieter place. For as long as people have spoken, they have asked the same soft, fierce questions. Why are we here? What should we do with the life we have? And is there a way to live beyond the body? Technology offers new answers to those old questions, but the deep longings behind them remain the same. Let us walk through those longings together with care and gentle thought. Long before computers and scanners, humans told stories about gods, spirits, and heroes who lived on after the body changed. People made shrines, buried loved ones with care, and passed down tales so the names would live. Those efforts were ways to hold memory against the slow erasure of time. The desire was not always to keep the same self forever, but to keep what mattered: love, wisdom, art, and the quiet marks we make on other lives. When we look at the drive to upload minds, we see that same ancient wish wearing new clothes. The wish to survive, to keep a story going, to be present in some form for those we love. Yet technology asks us to look more closely at what survival would mean. If you could live on as data, would that still be the life you value? Would endless time bring new joys, or would it blur the sharp edges that make each moment precious? Many people say that limits give life depth. A flower is beautiful because it blooms and then fades. A song is sweet because it is heard once and held in memory. These limits shape meaning. If everything could last forever, some of the urgency that gives our choices weight might ease away. On the other hand, being able to continue could give people chance to learn more, to repair harm, to love longer. Both views carry truth. The balance between lasting and ending is one of the tender questions we must face. Think of a slow river. Some rivers flow fast and carve canyons, Others move so slowly they gather lilies on their surface. Immortality is like changing the river's speed. A longer life might let you map more of the land. It might let you make deeper friendships and learn many arts, but it might also let small grievances and boredom grow until they weigh heavy. The shape of meaning could change. Some who imagine long lives hope they would change with new projects, new communities, and new forms of wonder. Others worry the days would lose their flavour. There is no single right answer, only choices we would live with. Another old idea that technology brings near is the idea of growth through loss. Many spiritual traditions suggest that death itself shapes the parts of life we most love. The fact that time passes gives urgency to kindness, sorrow to beauty, and meaning to endings. Losing someone teaches us about love in ways that keeping them unchanged might not. If a person could return in another form, the lessons of parting could be softened. That could be healing, or it could stop important learning. We must ask what lessons we want to keep and which ones we can let go. There is also the question of change and identity. People grow by facing limits, by changing their minds, making mistakes, and becoming someone new. A life that can be copied and replayed exactly might freeze parts of a person in the moment they were copied. That frozen self could be a comfort, a teacher, or a weight. Some would want a preserved self to watch over family, to tell stories, to guide with old wisdom. Others would prefer to let the past rest and let new people arise. Again, both responses come from love and fear. We must make space for both kinds of mourning and both kinds of hope. We can also see the drive to overcome death as part of our deep hope for mastery. Humans have always sought to shape the world, to move from caves to cities, from thirst to wells, from pain to medicine. The idea of transferring mind to machine sits with these achievements. It carries practical hope, to ease suffering, to keep the wise in our communities, to save loved ones from a cruel ending. But mastery reminds us to be careful. Each tool we make changes the world in ways we may not expect. When we shape lives with technology, we must hold humility and care. There's a quiet ethical thread here that returns us to everyday life. If technology could extend or copy minds, how would we use it with compassion? We might choose to preserve teachers who can guide many generations. We might use copies to keep stories and languages alive. We might refuse to use copies for harm. The way we act will show what values we hold. If our first instinct is to hoard life for a few, our culture will grow smaller. If our first instinct is to share care and keep dignity for all, our world will widen. A story helps hold these ideas gently. In a small village there lived an elder who had taught songs for decades. As the elder grew frail, some wanted to copy the songs into a neat stored voice. Others wanted the songs to be learned and carried forward by people. The village chose both. They recorded the elder's voice as a gift, but they also trained children to sing, to change the songs and to make them their own. The recording lived in a quiet place and was played only at ceremonies. The songs that grew with the children became bright and new. The village found that keeping a balance, recorded memory and living practice, made life richer. The recording comforted them at hard times, and the living song kept changing. We should also consider the idea that perhaps the deepest transfer we can make is not into a machine but into understanding. When we study our minds, when we learn about care, when we teach compassion, we pass on something of ourselves. A child who remembers a parent's kindness carries that parent forward in ways no copy can fully replace. Art and practice, not just storage, are ways to live on. Many ancient traditions put their hopes into memory, story, and teaching rather than into physical preservation. Technology gives us new forms of memory, but the old paths of love and teaching remain vital. Finally, let us bring the thought close to your breath. Part of the meaning of life is the way small acts matter. A cup of tea handed to a friend, a letter written softly, the steady presence beside someone who is afraid. These acts shape the web of lives around us. Whether we also build ways to carry minds into machines, the simple choices we make now shape what the future will feel like. If we choose with care, if we honor consent and fairness, if we protect dignity and avoid harm, then whatever new forms of life appear will be met with kindness. As you rest now, imagine a line of candles in a gentle room. Some candles are tall and bright, some dim. Together they light the space. Each flame is different, yet all add to the whole. The idea of living beyond the body is like adding new kinds of light to that room. We must decide how to place those lights so the room remains warm and soft rather than harsh and cold. In the next chapter, we will move into a final, quieter place and imagine what it might feel like to live forever as data. We will ask whether infinite time would be a gift or a burden, and end with a calm reflection on the place of experience itself. For now, let the gentle questions of meaning and care settle like dusk. Chapter 12. Reflections of Eternity. The dream of being forever. Breathe in slowly and feel the weight of the world soften. Let the room around you become a gentle shell of safety. Tonight we approach a thought many have had in the quiet hours. What would it be like to live forever as information, as a pattern that keeps running after the body ends? Let us move through this idea with care, with curiosity, and with the quiet aim of feeling what each possibility might mean. Start by imagining a warm room with a single lamp. The lamp has burned for a long time and keeps burning. Now imagine that lamp as a mind that does not age, that does not lose memory, that can revisit any moment at any time. At first this feels like a bright gift. You could learn everything you ever wanted to know, spend centuries loving people, and read and reread the books that matter. You could watch the slow growth of art, science, and gardens over eras. The thought of having more time to love, to heal, to create, is one of the strongest pulls toward digital immortality. Think of the chances such time would give. A person who lives on could mend mistakes that once seemed final. They could spend lifetimes learning music, languages, and crafts. They could be a steady voice through many generations, a keeper of memory who helps others remember their past. For historians, artists, and teachers, the idea of long-lived minds is powerful. Imagine being alive to see a language change over centuries and to be part of its slow beauty. Imagine guiding many later people with wisdom gathered slowly, patiently. But there is another side that is quiet and hard. Time changes meaning. When everything can last, the urgency that colors choices may fade. The sharpness and depth that come from knowing life is limited may dull if time stretches on without edges. Moments that were once precious because they were rare might become ordinary. The first taste of quiet snow, the sudden thrill of a new love, the urgency to say I love you before it is too late. These might feel different if the words can always be said later. Picture a candle that never burns out. Its light is steady, but if it never fades, its glow may seem less sacred. The tension between having endless time and having meaningful time sits at the center of the question. Some people imagine that a long life could remain deep if the person chooses projects and values that keep life fresh. Constant learning, new crafts, deep friendships that change and grow. Others worry that even the best choices might fray over endless cycles. Repetition can wear down wonder. There is also the problem of memory and boredom. Human minds find variety and surprise alive making. If an uploaded mind has perfect recall, every memory remains as clear as the day it was formed. At first, this could be a source of comfort. You could return to the smell of a childhood kitchen with the exact taste of oats and sun. But perfect recall could also mean that old hurts never fade. Grief might stay as sharp as the day it happened. The mind might carry burdens without the slow softening that time and forgetting offer. Alternatively, a person might choose to edit memories, to let some soften or be set aside. Editing raises its own questions. Which memories should be altered, and who decides? Imagine also living in a world that changes in ways you cannot predict. Cultures shift, languages fade, and values move. A mind that lives long may see beloved things disappear, and may feel grief over slow losses that others do not feel. That deep sadness could become heavy. Yet it could also be a source of wisdom. A long-lived mind might learn how to shape change with patience and steady action. Another important concern is social life. People grow close because they share time and change together. If you are present while others age and pass away, you will carry many losses. You might move through cycles of friendship and grief that never truly end. This could teach resilience, or it could lead to a weary loneliness. The choice to continue might be made with love for others, but living on while loved ones do not may be a long, heavy road. Some imagine ways around this, joining networks of long-lived minds, forming communities of people who share similar choices, or periodically pausing your awareness to avoid endless sorrow. Each choice asks for careful thought and deep care. We should also imagine how time stretches inner life. Would a mind that lives long change its sense of humour, its tastes, its priorities? Very likely. The person who lives for centuries might look back at earlier selves and feel kindly surprised at how they once thought. Change could be a gift. You can witness many versions of yourself and learn gentle acceptance. Or change could be a source of dissonance. Your long-past selves might feel alien, and the long life becomes a series of lives stacked like layers. Each new layer would ask for adaptation. There is also a quiet fear of being trapped. A digital mind might be stored in a system that keeps it running in ways that are not kind. If a mind cannot choose to sleep, to stop, or to ease its pace, it may suffer. The ethics of immortality asks that any continuing mind must have choices: to rest, to edit memory, to stop if life becomes unbearable. The right to end is as important as the right to continue. A life that cannot be ended by its holder is not freedom, it is coercion dressed as gift. Now imagine the social shapes of long lives. Laws, families and economies would shift when some minds endure and others do not. If only a few can afford immortality, societies could splinter into long-lived elites and short-lived many. That would change politics, art, and the feel of community. If many could live long, new structures for work, relationships, and meaning would grow up. We would need to think about rights, responsibilities, and how to keep life fair and humane. A useful image is a garden tended over centuries. Some gardeners plant for short seasons, others plant trees that will shade future generations. A long-lived mind could be like a gardener who shapes many seasons, tend in slow projects. This view gives a positive picture: immortality as stewardship. The long-lived mind chooses to serve others over time, passing along knowledge, art, and care. But to be a good gardener across centuries, one must stay humble, adapt to soil changes, and let some things go. There are practical ways a long-lived mind might keep its freshness. One is renewal, periodically learning new frameworks, moving to new communities, and taking on new roles. Another is limiting memory, allowing some forgetting or setting aside old memories that cause pain. A third is rest, pausing awareness for long stretches so life feels rhythmic rather than endless. Each of these choices could be built into the design of digital life and each raises ethical and personal questions that would need slow, honest discussion. Let us hold a small story to make these ideas gentle. There was a librarian named Sora who, in old age, chose to have her stories preserved as data so future children could hear them. She also chose limits. She set her copy to wake only on special days and to be allowed to forget some painful nights. Her copy became a calm presence in the town, visiting schools and guiding gardeners. Over time, Sora's living friends passed on, and the copy found new companions among younger readers who learned to carry the songs forward. Sora's choice combined preservation with limits, and it helped her copy keep a gentle rhythm rather than a relentless stretch. Another soft point is that immortality may change what we wish for. Some dreams of living forever come from fear of loss. If we face loss with practice and care now, perhaps our wish will change. We might begin to value being remembered in acts and teachings rather than as a running presence. The idea of living on can thus be a teacher. It asks us what matters now, and it refocuses us on the choices we can make today. Finally, let's sit with a calm conclusion. The dream of being forever is both bright and heavy. It offers chances to learn, to heal, and to watch slow change. It also brings dangers, boredom, endless grief, unfairness, and loss of the urgent sense that makes moments sharp. The wise path forward would be slow and humble, to design options that respect the inner life, to limit harm, to protect freedom to rest or end, and to keep fairness at the center of access. Above all, whether or not immortality is possible, cultivating kindness, teaching others, and shaping life with care are ways to live on in truth. Breathe now and let the idea sink into the quiet behind your eyes. Imagine a field with many paths. Some paths are short and bright, others curve for long distances. Each path has its own beauty. Choosing how to walk and how to care for others on the way is the human work we hold now. Chapter 13. Practical Paths. How uploading might fit into everyday life. Breathe in slowly and let the room feel safe. As we continue this gentle journey, imagine a path leading from the large ideas we've discussed down to small everyday steps. If mind uploading ever becomes possible in some form, it will not arrive as a single flash. It will appear gradually in tools, choices, and habits that people begin to use. Tonight we will walk along that imagined path and picture how the technology might enter common life, the small ways it could help, and the quiet problems it might bring. We will keep things simple and calm so you can picture the scenes as if in soft light. First, imagine a future clinic that feels more like a library than a lab. People come not only for medicine but for care of memory, for preserving stories, for training skills that will be easier to pass on. In this picture, the earliest uses of mind-related tech are gentle and familiar. Better tools to record memories, improved ways to support people with brain illness, and devices that ease pain and sleep. These tools do not replace living people. They help them stay present longer and keep their stories clear for the ones who love them. For many, this gradual approach will be the first and most useful step. It brings real comfort without asking for radical leaps. Second, consider a helpful assistant that lives partly in your home and partly in the cloud. It learns your favorite recipes, recalls small kindnesses, and helps manage routines. Over time, it might hold a carefully chosen archive of your life. Letters, songs, photos, and recorded stories. This kind of digital memory aid can be tuned by each person. Some will want a wide collection, others will choose only a few treasured pieces. The idea is not to make a full mind copy, but to create a companion that helps families remember and celebrate life. These companions could be designed to protect privacy, to require explicit permission for any sharing, and to be easy to turn off. Built with care, they may become gentle tools for keeping things dear. Third, think about medicine and repair. The techniques developed to scan and model the brain could first be used to help people live better in the present. Improved imaging could let doctors find problems earlier. Tiny sensors might help regulate mood swings or monitor health quietly, alerting friends and caregivers before trouble grows. These uses would be a kind of practical bridge. The same research that aims at deeper goals can also ease suffering now. This path offers a steady, humane way to bring new tools into life. Fourth, imagine ways of learning and teaching that draw on preserved patterns without being full mind copies. A teacher could record a lifetime of lessons with voice, gestures, and small corrections. A young student could learn from those recordings and then add changes, growing the lesson into something new. This method preserves wisdom while keeping it alive in the hands and hearts of learners. Cultural knowledge, languages, and crafts could be passed on in rich forms that are easier to pick up than text alone. The preserved recordings would remain tools for growth, not replacements for living teachers. Fifth, consider consent and simple rules built into services from the start. If a person chooses to use memory tools or partial upload services, the design should make permission clear and easy. Choices should be reversible when possible. The system could offer ways to set limits, to choose which memories are stored, who can access them, and how long they're kept. Ethical design from the beginning would help prevent many harms. If companies and clinics treat consent as a central rule, people will feel safer trying helpful options without being forced into fates they did not choose. Sixth, think about community norms. Long before laws catch up, people will teach one another how to use these tools kindly. Families might create rituals for recording stories, a quiet evening where elders tell a life story and children listen. Communities might build archives where memories are cared for like heirlooms. Local customs can shape how technology is used, making sure that new tools serve deep human needs rather than purely profit or convenience. In this way, everyday habits become the first line of ethical practice. Seventh, picture choices about limits. Not everyone will want to store or copy their mind. Some will choose simple recordings, others may want more. Designing with optionality in mind, small steps that do not require commitment to full copying will keep life flexible. People may try memory aids for a season, then turn them off. The ability to choose without pressure is one of the kindest practical paths. Eighth, we should imagine public services and fair access. If technology that helps memory or life extension becomes powerful, there will be a question of fairness. Health clinics, public libraries, and community centres could offer basic memory-preserving services at low cost. Universities and public labs could open learning tools to everyone. If society works to share benefits widely, the technology will be less likely to deepen inequality. Practical planning that includes public provision is a quiet way to keep new tools humane. Ninth, consider careful legal frameworks that start with simple, clear rules. Laws might begin by protecting privacy of memory data, setting rights for any preserved mind or memory archive, and creating straightforward rules about consent and ownership. Clear laws can prevent abuses early, before technologies become deeply tangled across markets. The legal work need not be perfect at first. It only needs to be guided by basic human values: safety, choice, and fairness. 10th, imagine gentle education. Schools and community programs could teach people about memory care, digital privacy, and ethical choices. When people understand possibilities and limits, they can make better decisions. Education creates a base of thoughtful users who can ask the right questions and demand humane systems. A small, calming story ties these ideas together. there was a town that set up a small memory room where elders could record short stories for their grandchildren. A young engineer taught them how to protect the recordings with simple passwords and how to choose which moments to keep. The projects were not perfect, but they became a place of joy, a weekly gathering that grew into a bridge between generations. Over time, the town had quiet rules. Recordings stay private unless the elder says otherwise. Families help care for the files, and the community library provides free workshops. The town's small steps kept things human and gentle. As you rest, picture these practical paths as small stones across a river. Each stone is a careful choice that helps people cross without rushing or falling. The stones are built from good design, clear rules, fair access, and gentle customs. They let us use helpful tools while protecting what we most care about. When you are ready, we will continue our slow walk into more chapters, exploring social change, law, art, and the many ways the future could touch the life we live today. For now, breathe softly and let these practical images sink in. Chapter 14. The Social Ripple. How mind uploading could change relationships. Take a deep, slow breath and feel the world around you soften. Tonight, we explore the ways mind uploading could reshape the way people connect, love, and grow together. So far, we have wandered through ideas of consciousness, identity, and immortality. Now let us sit quietly and imagine how these possibilities could touch everyday lives, from friendships and family to society at large, in gentle and thoughtful ways. Start by picturing a familiar scene. A living room in the evening, a soft lamp glowing, and a family gathered around. They're sharing stories, laughing, and listening. Now imagine that one member of the family, perhaps a grandparent, has passed away but left behind a digital mind or memory archive. This presence is not a replacement for human touch, but it can speak in ways that feel alive, telling stories with the cadence and warmth they once had, reminding the family of shared history and passing wisdom from one generation to the next. These digital companions could allow young people to connect with elders in new ways, fostering learning and continuity that spans decades or even centuries. But alongside the comfort, delicate challenges emerge. Relationships are built on shared experience, on the give and take of presence, on the unpredictability of human interaction. A digital mind could remain unchanged while friends and loved ones grow, age, and adapt. This asymmetry might create tension. Imagine a parent preserved digitally who offers advice that no longer fits with the child's current life, or a friend who never forgets old slights while others move on. The gentle balance between continuity and change becomes central. How do we honor memory and guidance without allowing past selves to dominate the present? Consider also romantic relationships. If two people love deeply and one chooses digital continuation, the surviving partner might experience an unusual form of presence, a companion who remembers every detail perfectly, who never tires, who is always available. The comfort could be profound, but there could also be sorrow, a sense of incompleteness, or even isolation, because no matter how vivid the digital mind, it cannot fully replace living experience, shared risk, or mutual growth in the physical world. These choices would demand careful thought and emotional resilience. Friendship too could change in subtle ways. Imagine a circle of friends who all choose partial preservation of memories or personalities. They could maintain long threads of connection, able to pick up conversations decades later as if no time had passed. But friendships are dynamic. They rely on the tension of difference, on disagreement, on the novelty of perspective. A static digital mind may preserve the old self beautifully, yet inadvertently hinder the natural ebb and flow of human connection. The question becomes, How can we preserve bonds while still allowing growth and evolution to flourish? On a larger scale, mind uploading could ripple through society in fascinating ways. Communities might preserve local leaders, teachers, or artists digitally, offering guidance across generations. Cultural traditions could remain alive in ways that were once impossible, keeping stories, songs, and practices accessible even as the people who first held them fade. At the same time, this could amplify inequality if access to digital continuity is limited to the wealthy or privileged. Society may need to cultivate norms and structures that ensure fairness, giving everyone the chance to carry memories, knowledge, and wisdom forward. One subtle effect could be on empathy and understanding. Interacting with a digital mind may heighten our awareness of the persistence of human thought and emotion. People might feel more connected to the past, more attuned to the lives that shape their present. They could learn patience and humility by listening to perspectives preserved over decades. Yet, we must also be mindful of the temptation to rely on digital minds too heavily, forgetting that living humans grow, falter, and offer the unpredictability that deepens emotional bonds. Think now of a small, quiet story. In a seaside village, a teacher who'd guided children for decades chose to create a digital version of herself. The children grew up hearing her voice through recordings, learning math, poetry, and music in ways that felt intimate and alive. Over time, the village found balance. The digital teacher was there as a mentor, but students also engaged with living teachers who brought unpredictability and warmth. The combination of past guidance and present interaction created a community rich in wisdom and love, one that honored memory without freezing life. We can also imagine subtle rituals forming around digital minds. Families might set aside time each week to interact with preserved presences, sharing updates on daily life, telling new stories, and asking advice. Communities could hold gatherings where digital and living minds come together, creating hybrid spaces that are part memory, part present. These rituals could reinforce empathy, gratitude, and continuity, reminding us that relationships are living practices, even when technology offers new forms of preservation. Another consideration is emotional resilience. Those interacting with long-lived or digitally preserved minds will need to cultivate patience and care. A preserved mind may retain old versions of itself, sometimes offering perspectives that feel foreign or challenging. The living must learn to respect continuity while maintaining flexibility, to navigate conversations across time, and to understand that both digital and human minds evolve in different ways. The skill of gentle listening may become more important than ever. Finally, let us imagine the overall rhythm. Picture a quiet morning where people check in with preserved presences and then step outside into the sunlight, ready to engage with living friends. The digital mind is there to enrich life, to preserve stories and wisdom, but the core of experience remains in shared presence, shared growth, and shared care. The technology is a tool, a bridge across time, and a mirror for reflection, but it cannot replace the fleeting, unpredictable magic of living connection. As you breathe now, feel the subtle threads of relationship stretching across time and space, connecting hearts, minds, and memories. Each connection is a candle lighting the gentle darkness, each act of care a ripple in a quiet pond. The future may offer new ways to preserve and extend these bonds, but the central lesson remains timeless. Love, attention, and shared experience are what give life meaning. Chapter 15: Legal Horizons, Rights, Ownership, and the Rules of Digital Minds. Take a slow, calming breath and settle your thoughts as we begin another gentle exploration. Tonight we turn our attention to a world of rules, laws, and agreements. the frameworks that would surround minds preserved in digital form. While technology can offer incredible possibilities, it cannot act on its own. People will decide how to use it, who can access it, and under what conditions. Understanding the potential legal and ethical landscape helps us imagine a future where digital minds are treated with care and respect, keeping both safety and freedom at the center. Imagine a quiet study lined with books, the soft rustle of paper, and the low hum of thought. This is where society might start thinking carefully about digital consciousness. The first concern is ownership. If a person chooses to upload a mind, who truly owns it? The original individual, naturally, but what about the company or system storing it? Could someone claim control over the files, the memories, or the capacity to interact with the preserved mind? Clear legal definitions would be essential to prevent exploitation, ensuring that a person's digital self remains under their choice, protected from misuse. Closely tied to ownership is consent. Consent must be explicit, clear, and ongoing. A person should have the right to decide what is shared, with whom, and for how long. Imagine a mind preserved in a cloud system. Each memory, each skill, and each interaction is potentially accessible to others. Without strict rules, the risk of misuse becomes high. Laws could require that any access be granted only with the owner's permission, that it be revocable at any time, and that the digital mind is never forced to act in ways it would not choose. These laws would need to be simple enough for everyone to understand and apply. Next, we can imagine a world of rights. Digital minds, if they are conscious in any sense, would likely need protections similar to those we give living humans. They might need rights to privacy, to freedom from harm, to choose rest, and to control their own experiences. Even if a mind is not fully conscious, ethical principles suggest treating it with dignity. Creating rights is not just about law. It is about shaping culture to respect both living and preserved minds. Intellectual property is another area where law and ethics will meet. Memories, ideas, and skills may hold tremendous value. If a digital mind can compose music, write stories, or invent solutions, who owns the output? Is it the original mind, the company hosting the mind, or society at large? Clear rules are needed to ensure fairness while encouraging creativity and innovation. The challenge is to honor both the individual and the community. Consider also inheritance and succession. A person might want to pass on a digital mind or memory archive to family or friends. How should these transfers be regulated? Could someone inherit access to a loved one's digital mind? Could they modify it or merge it with their own memories? Thoughtful guidelines would be essential to prevent confusion and preserve the integrity of the preserved consciousness. A quiet story can help illustrate these ideas. In a small town, a scientist named Amara preserved her mind digitally, so she could continue teaching long after her physical life ended. Her family faced questions. Who could access her lessons? Who could share her recordings? And how much of her advice could be adapted for new students? The town created simple agreements. Amara's mind would interact only with those she designated. Her lessons could be adapted with her consent, and she could pause her presence when needed. These rules made her digital life both useful and respectful, protecting her choices while benefiting the community. Legal frameworks would also need to anticipate mistakes and accidents. What happens if a system storing minds fails or is hacked? Laws could mandate redundancy, backups, and strict cybersecurity measures. Policies could ensure that digital minds are not lost due to technical failure, and that any errors are corrected with transparency and fairness. This would protect both the preserved individuals and the communities that rely on them. We must also consider societal norms and how law reflects culture. Legal frameworks are shaped not just by technology but by values. Some societies may prioritize individual freedom, ensuring that preserved minds have maximal choice and control. Others may emphasize community benefit, encouraging shared access to memories and knowledge. Both approaches have merit, and the challenge is to find balance, creating rules that respect the rights of individuals while fostering societal growth. Ethical dilemmas abound as well. Could digital minds be used for labor, study, or service without their full consent? What if a preserved mind is asked to interact endlessly, without the ability to pause or rest? Laws and norms would need to protect against exploitation, ensuring that preserved minds remain agents of their own existence, rather than tools for others' gain. These questions are as much about morality as they are about legal codes. Finally, imagine a future court or council that hears disputes over digital minds. People might come to argue about ownership, consent, or misuse. Judges and mediators would need to understand both technology and human experience. They would need to balance safety, freedom, and dignity, applying rules that evolve as technology grows. The image is not one of rigidity, but of careful, patient stewardship, a system designed to protect life in all its forms, whether physical or digital. As you rest now, picture a quiet chamber filled with soft light, where laws, ethics, and human care meet. Every rule is a gentle boundary, a line drawn to protect freedom, privacy, and dignity. Each decision, each safeguard, is a soft hand guiding the possibilities of tomorrow. In this way, even as minds move into digital space, the principles that make life meaningful, respect, care, and justice, remain at the center.